Whenever I go to the Goodwill bins, I always grab every National Geographic I can find because I like to take them apart to save certain articles that interest me, or individual pictures that I think are pretty, or sometimes I save individual pictures to use in my collage making. And on the trip that we made to St. Louis here a couple months ago, I found all of these, plus quite a few that I've already taken apart. The vast majority of these are from the 1970s. There's a couple from the 60s, and there were a few from 99 and 2000. And I'm going to show you what I have found to be the easiest way to take apart the older ones. I'm not sure when they, or what the exact year was that they switched from holding them together with staples versus exclusively glue. But on the ones from 2000, they were held together with staples. And these much newer ones, these three up here are from 2021, they are held together with glue. So sometime in the past 20 years, they switched from staples to glue. So I'm going to show you how to take apart the ones that are held together with staples. All right, like I said a minute ago, the older National Geographics are held together a little bit differently than the newer ones, and I'm going to show you what I mean before we get started, just for illustrative purposes. This one is from 1978, and if you'll flip it over to the back cover, you'll notice that it's held together with two staples. And the older ones are also held together with glue, but it tends to get very crumbly as it ages. And once you get the staples out, it's very easy to just break that glue off and take it apart. This one from 21, if you'll open it, it does not have staples. It is exclusively held together with glue. And these are possible to take apart. It's just a little bit more of a pain in the butt because the glue is soft, because it's much newer and it's not crumbly, and the pages tend to stick. Well, they're supposed to stick because that's what holds it together, but it also makes it harder to take apart because the pages tend to rip when you start taking them out. But anyway, we're going to focus on the older ones. And all you need to take apart the older ones is a pocket knife and a pair of needle nose pliers. So first of all, what I like to do is open both covers, gently tear off the cover so you have just the pages, and then you take your pocket knife and very carefully you work it underneath the edges of the staples on the back and carefully bend them up so they're sticking up like that. Some of them are much more stubborn than others. Sometimes it takes a little work to get the knife worked up underneath. And again, be very careful when you do this, because I have slipped a couple of times and nicked my finger. Now come to the other one. Carefully work that knife underneath, bend it up like that, then do the same to the other one, bend it up, then flip it over to the front, and you're going to take your knife and carefully work it underneath the front of the staple Again, some of them are more stubborn than others. Get it worked under there, and then just bend it up just a little bit so that you've got room to work your needle nose pliers under there in just a minute. And then do the same to the other one. Bend it up. Now we take our needle nose pliers, work those underneath, and then grip it really tight and bend the staple up like that. One end at, and sometimes they break. They're old, and sometimes they get brittle like the glue does. But no worries, if it breaks, just get rid of the first piece, come over to the other side, and work the staple around your pliers. That's one staple down, then come to the other one, work one side up, that one broke too. That's fine. Sometimes they don't come out in one piece. I found that it's easier if they break to get a hold of the piece that's sticking up like this and then kind of curl it over your pliers. That helps you get a much better grip since you have a smaller piece to work with. Now that your pliers are now that your staples are out, it's much easier to take the magazine apart as opposed to just ripping the pages out with the staples still in there. And the reason I like to do it like this is because when I save articles, or when I save an entire article, I like to scan it with an app on my phone and have a digital backup of the articles that I save. And it's much easier to do that when the pages can lay completely flat. And also it just makes the edges of the pages look much prettier on the articles that you plan to save. Also on the individual pictures that I like to save, sometimes if you just rip the page out without taking the staple out, it can get away from you and rip part of the picture. So I like to do it like this, and it leaves a crisp, smooth edge on all of the pages. Even you don't have to go through and tear out every individual page. If you want to, you can take a handful of pages and fold them over, and sometimes they'll just completely break loose from the rest of them because the glue is so brittle. Or if they don't break apart, you can take a handful and just pull them off like that, and the edges still stay nice and crisp, easy to save. That's about it. I hope I helped you in your article saving, your picture saving, your scrapbooking, whatever your reason for taking apart a National Geographic. I hope this helps.